waist bead makers in Ghana, as well as the information that I've found elsewhere. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So what are waist beads? Waist beads are strands of beads worn around the waist or hips, often made from glass, crystals, gemstones, or seeds. They have been worn by women across various African cultures for centuries and hold deep symbolic and personal meanings. Why are they important? Waist beads are more than just jewelry. They represent femininity, heritage, spirituality, and personal empowerment. In modern times, they continue to be a powerful form of self-expression and body adornment. So that's pretty much just an overview of what waist beads are and why they are important. So the historical background. Waist beads date back thousands of years, with evidence of their existence found in ancient Egypt, West Africa, and among different indigenous cultures. So pretty much thinking back to as far as you can think back in Egypt, where they were able to dig up mummies and see them have waist beads on. Now, it didn't look like, the waist beads that we wear now. They had like shells, bones, that kind of thing. But based on the research, it shows that waist beads were pretty much worn to show like your status and your status within the community. So in Ghana, waist beads are particularly significant to the Akan, I always say this wrong, Ewe, and Ga cultures. Traditionally, they were worn by women of all ages, but especially young girls and newly married women, signifying growth, status, and femininity. Evolution over time. In ancient times, waist beads were crafted from natural materials such as stones, seeds, and shells. As trade expanded, glass beads became more prominent, particularly with the influence of European traders. Today, waist beads are widely worn both traditionally and fashionably, incorporating diverse materials and designs. So a lot of the beads that they used back then were made of clay or different, materials that they had around or within their regions. And that's why, depending on what region you go to, the waist beads look completely different. Like, they're different colors. And you have some that have maybe red clay. So those will be more of the red beads. But as trade and travel and all of that, they started receiving more of the glass beads that you see, most people wear today. The glass and the crystals as well. All right, rituals and ceremonies. Waist beads are often used in initiation rites for young girls as they transition into womanhood. In some cultures, newborn babies are adorned with beads as a blessing and a sign of protection. Brides may wear waist beads as a symbol of fertility and marital readiness. So when babies are born, they start wearing waist beads pretty much at birth. They'll put a thin strand of white beads around the baby's waist, as well as the ankles and wrists. And it was pretty much used for different reasons. One, as it says, protection, because the baby can't speak and can't protect themselves against, negative energy and things like that. But also for a weight scale. So it's pretty much a natural weight scale. So if you see that the baby is growing and you're not having to replace these beads, then the baby is not growing at the pace that they're supposed to. So it is pretty much a natural weight scale to show that the baby is growing the way that they should grow. And as they get older, that's when they change the type of bead, and then they change how many beads they wear. And as far as the brides, when a woman gets married, usually the husband buys the bead for her, or they're gifted by the husband's family. And it's, seen as, and at that point, the beads are really only for that woman and her husband to see. And that's traditionally, it also depends on what part of Africa you're in. In Western Africa, beads are pretty much not shown. It's only for you and your significant other, whereas in East Africa, they are, and the eastern part, they're shown and worn outside, much like you see, here. Waist beads can represent protection. Some beads are infused with spiritual energy to ward off negative influences. Fertility and sensuality. Women often wear waist beads to embrace their femininity and weight awareness. In some cultures, waist beads help track body changes as they tighten or loosen with weight fluctuations. So with weight tracking, like I have people that ask me all the time, can waist beads make you lose weight? Waist beads cannot make you lose weight, but they can help you track your weight loss or your weight gain. So as you gain weight, it's going to get tighter and roll up. As you lose weight, it's going to get looser and roll down. They're definitely helpful at all times, including pregnancy. Absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, the fertility and sensuality, the sensuality is specifically is one of the reasons why it's not shown in some regions and traditionally, because it's almost like someone seeing your waist beads would be almost like them seeing you naked, like with no clothes on. That's how, sensual it is. And so like even the young girls, when they do wear their waist beads, they tell them, that they're not to be seen by anyone. Symbolism of colors and materials. Each bead, color, and materials hold meanings. So as you can see, I have a few examples here, and this is just some stuff that I pulled. Blue, peace, tranquility, and healing. Red, passion, strength, and vitality. Gold, wealth, prosperity, and power. Green, growth, abundance, and fertility. And then crystals and gemstones, of course, all the different crystals have different energies. So whatever you want to attract to yourself, that's what you would add. Those are the gemstones that you would add to the waist bead. One thing I will say though, although this is just like, general what these colors mean, it depending on what area you're in. So you may be in one region where red means passion and, and vitality. You may go to another region and red is only worn for mourning and sadness. So it just depends on what region you're in and what the colors symbolize. Again, where it originated. All right, the art of bead making. The process of making waist beads is deeply rooted in tradition. Bead makers carefully select materials based on symbolism and intention. The beads are strung onto cotton, elastic, or wire, depending on their use and significance. So traditionally, waist beads are tied on and are not removable. Those are the ones that I make. I don't do the elastic and I don't do the removable ones. And I'll get more into why I don't later on. But depending on who you purchase from, you can get like some that are elastic or some that have like latches that you could remove and put back on. It really just depends on the reason that you're wearing them, if you want them to be removable or not. Passing down traditions. In many communities, the knowledge of waist bead making is passed down through generations, preserving cultural heritage. Some women inherit beads from their mothers or grandmothers, reinforcing familial ties and spiritual protection. So, with that, there are beads that are so valuable that they are traded for very valuable items. One of the darkest parts of learning about this for me was that I discovered that when the ships came in, I'm trying to figure out how to say this, Black History Month. As the ships came in, they realized how important these beads were to people and how much of significance they were. And they actually were able to trade beads for people. I'll just leave that there. So that's how important some of these beads were to some of these areas. And the belief is that there were certain types of beads that they believe have always been here. Because in their minds, it's like, the beads were here when my parents got here. The beads were here when my grandparents got here, and their grandparents and their grandparents. So they have been here since the beginning of time, and they just hold that value. All right, contemporary perspectives, modern uses and adaptations. While waist beads remain a staple in African culture, they have gained global popularity as accessories for self-love and body positivity. Today, many women wear waist beads for aesthetic purposes, fitness tracking, or personal empowerment. Waist beads in different cultures. Many African cultures, including Yoruba, Nigeria, and Zulu, South Africa, have unique waist bead traditions. Caribbean and Afro-diasporic communities continue to embrace waist beads as a link to African heritage. So a lot of times, as you can see, it has deep origin within the African culture. So a lot of times I do get asked, can white women or white people wear waist beads, or does it have to, or, are waist beads only for, people of African origin? And I am of the belief that if you have a waist, then you can wear waist beads. A lot of the waist bead makers that I speak to and that I know, they feel the same way. A lot of this knowledge I got from a friend of mine in Ghana, and he makes waist beads. He learned about waist bead making from his grandfather. So that was like passed down generation to generation. There are a lot of males that make waist beads as well. And so anyone can wear waist beads. It is my belief. Now, there are some people that feel like, I don't know, maybe it should be closed, but wearing waist beads is not a closed practice. What can be a closed practice is actually making them, because of the fact that it's so deeply ingrained in the culture and just something that's like passed down generation to generation. The making of waist beads is more of a closed practice. And so you just have to be wary when you are buying waist beads that you're not buying Temu waist beads and you're not buying Amazon waist beads unless you know like where they're coming from. And you don't want to buy some factory stuff because, number one, there's no love in that. Like, I mean, where is the love in some factory produced waist beads? And you just have to be careful like with the energy and stuff, because just like crystals, I am of the belief that waist beads do carry energy, so be careful who you get your waist beads from. Oh yeah, definitely, Jessica. All right, so waist beads have a long, rich history rooted in African tradition. They are more than just accessories. They're a powerful symbol of identity, spirituality, and femininity. If you choose to wear waist beads, do so with knowledge and respect for the cultural significance. And that's the part that I was just talking about. Waist beads can be a beautiful way to celebrate your personal journey, body, and heritage. Whether used traditionally or fashionably, they remain a timeless symbol of beauty, strength, and connection to ones. And I don't know what I just covered on my on my presentation there, but I just had a thought. Oh, the reason I say I don't create waist beads that can be removed is because I am of the belief that when you wear your waist beads, you're wearing them for specific purposes. So there are people that wear them just for fashion, but there are also people that wear them for spiritual reasons, or they set intentions. And then those intentions, you don't want to be able to take that off whenever you feel like it. You know what I mean? If you have a goal, or if you set an intention for yourself or an intention for your life, why do you want to be able to take that off whenever you feel like it? Like, where's the dedication to that? So no, Marsha will not be making any waist beads that you could take off whenever you feel like it. You are going to stick to whatever you are aiming for. And so if it's tied on, how does it come off? There are two ways. You can cut it off when you're ready. So for example, if I want to wear waist beads because I need to work on my throat chakra. Like I need to speak up more. And I'm wearing it, and it's now a constant reminder of that. So if I get into an issue, or if I get into a situation where I like feel my waist bead, and I'm like, Marsha, speak up, speak up, speak up. And I find myself like, you know what? That's not Marsha anymore. I have learned to use my voice. I can then say, this waist bead has served its purpose. I'm going to cut it off. Other than that, it is of the belief that it may release itself when it's ready. So a lot of times people, like if their waist bead breaks after a while, especially if you're attached to it, they're like, can you just like restring it and tie it back? But I do believe that honestly, if it releases itself from you, it was time for it to go. Hold on one second for me, y'all. It is of the belief that if it's released from you, it's time for it to go, because every time that I have restrained someone's waist beads, they have broken shortly after. Like you could have them on for 3 years. You could have them on for 3 to 4 years and they break. And I could put it on some new thread and tie it back on, and best believe shortly after it's going to break again, because it's just time for it to go. So I don't even restring anymore. Like I removed that. I removed that from my services. Let's see what else. Yeah, I don't. I think that's pretty much about it. Does that apply when they have to be removed for surgical reasons? No. So when they have to be removed for surgical reasons, that is really the only time that I restring these now. Like if you have to go in for surgery and you have to get them cut off, I will restring them for you. And what I do is I'll cleanse them. So once they're cut off, because like I said earlier, they do hold energy. So once they're cut off, I will cleanse them, restring them, and then you can retie them. So good question. Yeah, that does not apply if they have to be removed for those reasons. Although, fight for your beads. I tell people all the time, fight for your beads, because if you're in with the right person, they will be like, no, ma'am, those do not get removed. We can pull them up. We can move them over here. We can do what we need to do. I had someone that actually contemplated surgery or putting off surgery because she just could not part with her beads. Okay, that is what I've been waiting, trying to see if I need this. Okay, completely understandable. Yep. So, as of like right now, like I said, now that waist beads are so mainstream, a lot of people do wear them just because they're pretty, which is okay too. Like even with myself, if you want to buy them, if you don't want to hear about all of this and you just want to wear it because they're cute, that's fine too. Because they're, as the time goes on and as it becomes more mainstream, it's more seen as art versus the tradition. And even like if you were to go to Africa now, they have adapted because they know what the foreigners like. So they know the foreigners like the removable beads. So you can get them removable now. So they have adapted to what is popular now. Are there any other questions? Your thoughts on men wearing waist beads? I believe that anyone with a waist can wear waist beads. That is my belief. I have tied men. That's the other thing. Getting tied, like tying your own waist beads is cool, but like getting tied by someone that is deeply connected with waist beads is a completely different experience. It's an entire experience. But I have tied men. I believe anybody, as long as you have a waist, you can get some waist beads. And I did not mention this as I was going through, but I mentioned it with the women that it's used for coming of age ceremonies. So as girls go into puberty, there are certain beads that they wear, and it's like an entire celebration. But there are boys as well during puberty that there are certain beads that they wear as well. And when babies are born, both men and both boys and girls do get that first strand of waist beads. But yeah, everyone can wear waist beads. And they're worn they were worn for so many different reasons, like not just for the protection and the weight tracking, but they were worn to hold up, cloth during their menstrual cycles because, they didn't have pads and tampons. So they were worn to hold up pads. They were worn um, for protection. Like there are certain priests and priestesses that are able to bless beads, and so there are people that can make them, and then people that are able to bless them, and they're usually not the same person. Because I've been wanting some, I just wasn't sure if they were meant for men. Get you some beads. I can show you some pictures. I have time. I have time. But yeah, get your beads. Get your beads. Hi, Jessica. And if anybody has any other questions, you can let me know. You can DM me if you have any other questions as well. But where can you get your beads? So I do have a website, and it is royalbeautybeads.com. And I am also local. I have waist beads in a crystal shop. It's called Stillwell's Emporium. It's in the city of Stone Mountain. I'm in Georgia. And it's right in Stone Mountain Village. And that's my setup at one point. They move it around all the time. But also, I know you guys are sick of me talking about this, but y'all gonna be sick of me some more. The Save Yourself Self-Love Experience is on Saturday. So y'all know our queen Ermi will be in the building. She's gonna be a speaker, but I will be there tying waist beads. If you do get a ticket and you do come, you actually get a free strand of waist beads at the event. And I will tie it on for you. So that beautiful experience I talked about earlier, I'll be able to do that for you this Saturday. Yes, that ticket, y'all. When I tell you there is so much included in that ticket, you're gonna get food, you're gonna get amazing speakers, sound bowl healing, um, meditation, workshops, and free waist bead. So yeah, it's gonna be a good time, y'all. So I definitely did want to mention that and put that out there. So if you guys are in or near Atlanta, yes, absolutely, I do ship. I ship uh, everywhere in the United States, Canada, Virgin Islands, France. So yes, I ship all over. I also have on my website, period. This is my firstborn. My husband's brother gifted them as a marriage gift. I love that. Period. Yes. Um, I do have a video on my website of someone tying the beads. So when you get your waist beads, most likely you will get my card in there, and on the back of it, it'll have the instructions on how to tie the beads. But I do have a video on my website that you can watch someone tie their beads. It's not me. I know I need to make my own tying video. I've been saying that for the last 5 years and I haven't done it yet. But there is a really good video on my website of someone tying beads. So you wouldn't have a problem if I do have to ship. But I love that. I have a cousin that I did beads for when she was super tiny, and she worked throughout her entire pregnancy and took her picture, her professional pictures with all her beads. It made it all the way through with the beads. So they're a very strong bead. The other thing is that depending on where you get your beads, there are people that use subpar material. Again, don't buy those factory beads because a lot of times they use that like cheap cotton thread, and it's going to break. So you think that you're getting a deal. Oh my gosh, these $5 beads, and they're gonna look and feel like $5 beads. But depending on what you want on your waist beads, there are colors to choose from, but then there are also crystals. Depending on, if you're working on self love, you can get rose quartz crystals, or it just depends on what you want. We also have we also have waist beads that have 14 karat gold on them. So it just depends on what you're looking for. And that, going back to the history, that also showed people's status, like within their communities, because some of the materials are so precious that they don't have a lot to go around. So only certain people were allowed to or able to afford and able to wear them. So I know I'm jumping around. I'm sorry, y'all. The other thing too is that when you're born, you wear that one strand, right? And then when you get to a certain age, you get added two more. So you're wearing 3 strands. For some reason, 2 strands is taboo. No wearing 2 strands. So you either go from 1 to 3. I have not been able to get this answer. I asked my friend in Ghana. I've watched multiple videos, and I don't know why it is taboo, but you are not to wear 2 beads. It should be 1, 3, and then you go up from there. But it's also kind of bad luck, I would say, to have an even number. So 1, 3, up, and all odd numbers. Traditionally, of course, it's your body and you can wear what you want to wear, but traditionally, 1, 3, and up. But that is it. If you guys would like some waist beads, that is where you can find me at my website, royalbeautybeads.com. I am on all social medias as Royal Beauty Beads. I am on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Red Note. What's the other one? I forgot. Mostly TikTok and Instagram is where you'll TikTok and Instagram are my 2 major social medias. So you can find me there. You can always DM me if you have any questions about waist beads, or I'm a crystal seller as well. I know my presentation wasn't about crystals. If you have questions about crystals as well, I do Friday night lives, which normally every Friday I'm on between 7 and 8. I usually post a flyer before, and I sell waist beads and crystals with great deals. But I'm hoping that I see some of y'all on Saturday, y'all. Yes, I also do wrap crystals. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. I do wrap crystals as well. So if you're looking for a crystal wrap, I'm your girl. You're welcome. Hey, Phoenix. I didn't see you in here. You are very welcome. You're very welcome. You're welcome. Does anyone have any questions before we head out? All right. Well, I hope everybody has the most amazing evening ever. Again, you guys can catch me on all social medias at Royal Beauty Beads. Don't forget the H. And I hope to see some of y'all on Saturday. Y'all have a good night. Yes, Jessica, I'm gonna see you Saturday. Can't wait. Good night, everybody.